What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the brand new Inside the GIAA show that we're going to have weekly here on GIAA.tv, the GIAA Facebook page, and of course on the GIAA YouTube channel, live from the Beck Center. The Beck Center Academic and Athletic Success here in Columbus, Georgia, that does so much for so many athletes. Thank you to Roger Beck and the Beck Center for being our presenting sponsor, that you can have baseball matches here, wrestling. They got batting cages. They got conference rooms. They got a whole media center in the front. I mean, it is full, jam-packed for every sport to be successful. A film room, and they even allow us to host our shows here, including this brand new one, every Wednesday inside the GIAA. Thrift, Barringer, and Richard Holdridge, your voices for the GIAA. Richard, how excited are you, man, to get this new endeavor started?
Well, last time we were together on GIAA.tv and wearing these polo shirts, we were in Statesboro calling the football championships, and now we're back. We've got some fantastic winter sports to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
And we got some championships coming up. I'm excited because in the GIAA, we've got some very talented winter sports teams that we want to talk about.
Yes, we do. And as Richard made mention, in this show, we got a little bit of how a layout of how things are going to go. We'll have our intro, as we do every single Wednesday night, bringing you in. And then we're going to have a good portion of the show and talking about the main sport that's happening during that time period. And right now it is basketball. So we're going to update you on this show from 1A, 2A, 3A, and 4A. All the rankings came out. They're on the GIAA website. Go to GIAAsports.org right now. Click on basketball. You'll see the updated rankings for girls and boys for each classification. We're going to dissect those. Then after that, we got a segment called A Few Good Minutes, in which we're going to talk to coaches from each of the respective classifications. And we're going to start off with the 1A classification, the number one team in each one. We're going to have them on in the third segment. Looking forward to talking to them, Richard. Then after that, we're going to talk about the other sports happening right now in winter. We got esports. We got wrestling. We got swimming. And we're going to update you on and archery, update you on everything that is happening outside of just basketball inside the GIAA to give all the athletes, all the coaches, all the programs the proper exposure they deserve. And then we're going to wrap it up with a special segment called Commissioner's Corner. Commissioner Tommy Marshall will be joining our program, give us an update, a lay of the land, a state of the union, if you will, of what's going on in the GIAA. Our legendary commissioner who has done so much for this league. Thoroughly enjoy going to be able to talk to him at the end of the show in Commissioner's Corner. And that will be it for this week. And again, we'll do it every week live from the Beck Center, Wednesday nights on GIAA.tv, the YouTube channel, GIAA, and of course on the Facebook page. I know you're excited about this layout, Richard.
Oh, absolutely. We also have a new platform, the YouTube channel of the GIAA. So go on all the platforms and share the show and like what you see and leave a comment. And we appreciate everybody's support that supports GIAA right here on GIAA.tv.
I'm going to give a few shout outs. I want to shout out for one, Chris Gates, who's producing this right now, for helping us get this going. I want to shout out Brett Taylor, who has been doing stuff with the GIAA for years now, helping us get this going. Banks, we want to thank him, who's the social media coordinator for all things GIAA. He helped us get this off the ground with all the graphics and everything else. Of course, we needed permission from Clint Morgan, Kent Copeland, and Tommy Marshall, and they all blessed us. Yes. But it all starts, and the figurehead, if you will, is Tony Morgan. And we want to thank him for being the best advisor, mentor, and boss, if you will, that we could ask for. He does everything we need for us to be successful, and we are excited about this every single Wednesday night for winter. Then we'll take a little bit of maybe a couple week break, and then we'll start up for the spring sports, and then we got summer, and then right back into fall. Right. And this is going to stay every Wednesday night. It doesn't supplement when we start the high school football scoreboard show on Friday nights. So you're going to get both of them during the fall season. So, man, what a time to be alive. What a time to support all the things that are happening in the GIAA. Follow them on Instagram. Follow them on Facebook. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. And, of course, GIAA.tv is where you can watch all the championship events that they have here in the GIAA.
There are so many great teams and so many great sports. And we're going to talk about those sports, starting with basketball. And we were a big part of the basketball championships last year. They were held
state championship games, we called, Richard.
At Columbus State University. Well, guess what? They're going to be back at CSU. I'm excited about that. All the classifications for both girls and boys basketball.
Yeah, and that's coming up February 28th and March 1st. Those are these championship days. And then you got the semifinals are going to be held at Bruton Parker and at CSU. So we're excited about that. That's coming up. We were glad to be able to do the softball state championships, the volleyball state championships we both called. We also called the football state championships. And now that it's transitioning to the winter sports, we appreciate the opportunity. We appreciate your support. And we're promise you, we're going to try to hit on every school. If we don't talk about your school today, I promise you eventually in these next 10 shows that we're going to do leading up to the basketball state championship, you will have an opportunity talking about your program here on this show. So bear with us. Got a lot to talk about. There's over 52 schools that we're having to cover with a ton of different sports. So we appreciate everyone out there. And again, keep sending us all the information you have on your program so we can get them in on this show. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back from break, time to dissect what's happening in basketball. We're already in region play right now. We got rivalries going on, and we're going to talk about all the rankings in girls and boys from the 1A to 4A classifications here on Inside the GIAA live from the Beck Center. Be right back after this.
GIAA.TV now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.TV Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.TV Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.TV Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.TV Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.TV Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.TV. This copyrighted broadcast, presented exclusively on GIAA.TV, is copyrighted by the Georgia Independent Athletic Association, a division of the Georgia Independent School Association, for the private use of our audience. It may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the Georgia Independent School Association.
Welcome back to Inside the GIAA. Thrift Barringer, Richard Holdridge here, and we are excited to talk about now basketball season. It's one of my favorite sports. I played it in college, so being able to cover it, being a part of those state championship games last year, and now seeing all the great teams this year, it's going to be an incredible playoff run, Richard. And let's go ahead and start with the girls' 1A classification. Fullington Academy comes in number 1. We're actually going to have their coach come on the program here today, Richard, right after this segment. Coach Van Bailey will be joining us and talking about his Lady Trojans that are 13-3 on the season. Richard, we know how talented Fullington Academy is, and their team now 13-3, ranked number 1, looking like the favorite in the GIAA to win a state championship. They lost to Robert Toombs last year in the state championship game by 1 point. Remember that game?
Yes.
The Robert Toombs player she was fantastic, man. She had like close to 40 points in that game. She was just all over the place. But Coach Bailey rebounding from last year. And we've seen this from a lot of teams that were state runner-up the year before. They have that like chip on their shoulder to go out and prove the world wrong. They come in at number 1, St. George number 2, and Memorial Day is number 3. Richard, you can give the update of the rest of the top 10 in the single A girls classification.
Yeah, looking at the girls classification in the single A, as you did mention, that you have those teams, but I'm actually trying to pull up because I had the boys ranking.
Well, I have them right now. Robert Toombs Christian Academy, the defending champion, they're number 4, 9-8. Citizens Christian Academy is number 5 at 6-9. Covenant Academy is number 6. Number 7, Flint River Academy. Number 8, Thomas Jefferson Academy. Number 9, Crisp Academy, and then number 10, John Hancock Academy. I will add the last two because 12 teams make the playoffs, Grace Christian and Westwood. Grace Christian, number 11, Westwood, number 12. Those are the 12 teams that will make the playoffs in the girls classification. Now we can head over to the boys. And I made mention about Citizens Christian, Richard.
Right.
They're ranked number one right now, aren't they?
They're 9-6, Citizens Christian, which, they are a smaller school, and that's why they play at 1A. And they're having a good season, but the reason why they're number one is because they played a lot of tough opponents. A lot of these single A schools will play higher classification schools.
Exactly right. First Preparatory Christian Academy, they come in at number 2, Richard, as their program looking like trying to vie for a state championship. Remember, they made it to the state championship last year and lost to Monsignor Donovan. We were there for that game, which was really a lot of fun. First Presbyterian Christian Academy Highlanders are ranked number 2 right now in the state, and they're looking like they're trying to get back to Columbus State University for a state championship. Robert Toone's number 3, LaGrange Academy. I remember playing them back in high school. They're ranked number 4. St. George, number 5. Atlanta Jewish Academy, number 6. Memorial Day is number 7. Number 8, Crisp Academy. Number 9, Westwood. Number 10, Flint River Academy. 11, Grace Christian. And number 12, Fullington Academy. And this is out of 19 single-A schools. Remember, only 12 make the playoffs, Richard. And those are your top 12 teams. But number 1, Christian Academy. Number 2, First Presbyterian Academy. And by the way, we're going to have on one of the coaches here from Citizens Christian Academy and head coach Jared Roberts to talk about his Patriots team being ranked number 1 in the inaugural GIAA poll. All right, let's go to 2A classification, okay? Central Fellowship girls, Richard, 15-1.
Wow.
On the season. And they are dominant. Their rating is 19.17. Their strength of schedule is higher than almost anyone else in there. Brentwood comes in at number 2. Southwest Georgia Academy, who played in the championship last year, they're number 3. Edmund Burke, number 4. Trinity Christian, number 5. Briarwood Academy, ranked number 6. And then we got Furtaw Prep, number 7. Sherwood Christian Academy, number 8. Georgia Christian, number 9. Gatewood, number 10. Westminster Christian Academy, number 11. And Southland Academy is ranked number 12. But the 4 teams that I'm really looking at, Edmund Burke 13-3, Southwest Georgia 13-2. Both of them are ranked 3rd and 4th. Brentwood number 2 at 11-3. But obviously the favorite right now, Central Fellowship Academy at 15-1. They have a pretty sizable lead over everyone else in the updated rankings. How about the boys, Richard?
All right. So looking at the boys, as I'm actually, we're going off each other, and I'm pulling up the girls' ranking while you're going through the girls' ranking. So let's go ahead and go get the boys. And we apologize. I'm actually dealing with a computer that's got multiple tabs open. So we'll go ahead and
it's all right. We'll go to 2A classification. Brentwood undefeated. One of a very few teams that are undefeated, including the Pacelli Vikings, who have the longest winning streak in the state right now. We'll talk about them in 4A in just a moment. But Brentwood, number 1, undefeated. Furtaw Prep, number 2. Heritage, who moved down from 3A, the defending back-to-back state runner-up, is now in 2A. They come in number 3, and Coach Joe Jerome's team, they're always in the mix, playing for a state championship every year. Central Fellowship Christian Academy comes in at number 4. They played in that championship game last year in 2A. Remember, a lot of teams moved around from last year's classification. Number 5, Rock Springs Christian Academy come in at 9-1. They are from the Gaps in their first year in the GIAA. Number 6, Gatewood at 12-3. Number 7, Briarwood 10-2. Number 8, Southwest Georgia Academy at 8-7. Number 9, Southland Academy at 10-6. Number 10, Augusta Prep Day at 8-4. Number 11, Edmund Burke Academy at 8-4. And then Heritage Preparatory is number 12. There are 20 2A schools in the boys classification, and only 12 make it. So right now the playoffs started, those are the 12 teams. But Brentwood, again, just like I was talking about in the girls classification 2A with Central Fellowship, Brentwood with a pretty sizable lead over Furtaw Prep, and they are undefeated right now. Now, their strength of schedule is not as tough as Furtaw Prep or Heritage, but their overall rating is higher, and which is why they're number 1. But a lot of these teams are going to be facing off against each other during region play, Richard.
Yeah, there's no question. And Furtop Prep is the defending champions, as we saw them, and they ended up getting the big win. And I tell you what, I'm very just impressed with the 2A region. I mean, you got a team like Rock Springs out of Milner who is making that transition from the gaps. I mean, we've seen other teams make that transition coming up from the gap. So it's good to see these teams compete, trying to get a playoff spot and trying to make it back to Columbus.
Yeah, exactly right. So those are the 2A boys and girls rankings here on GIAA, and we can't wait. The 1 and 2A are going to be at Burke, at Bruton Parker. And then the 3A and 4 in classification semifinals will be at Columbus State. Now let's move to the 3A classification for the girls rankings right now. And the defending 3A state champion, Lakeview Academy, did the same thing Pacelli did last year, winning both boys and girls. They came in number 1. Their strength of schedule is 10.2. Richard, I'm looking at all the classification. That is higher than anyone else. They played a tougher schedule than anybody else in the GIAA, according to the MAC-12 rankings. Their overall rating is at 18.36. That is ranked 3rd behind Athens Christian and George Walton Academy in 4A. And they are number 1. They have a huge lead over the second-ranked team, undefeated Coach Israel's team, and Terrell Academy, who is 13-0, ranked number 2. Piedmont, number 3 at 12-3. Frederica Academy, ranked number 4, undefeated. So that gives you 2 undefeated teams in 3A. Terrell Academy, number 2, and Frederica Academy, number 4. Westminster Schools of Augusta comes in at number 5, 9-1. Westfield, number 6, a Westfield school that's always had a really good girls basketball program. Number 7, Brookwood, 12-4. Number 8, Pinewood at 8-6. Number 9, John Millage Academy at 5-7. Number 10, Deerfield Windsor at 7-8, who played in the state championship last year. But remember, they lost their legendary coach and an incredible player, so they're rebuilding right now. Dominion Christian comes in number 11 at 10-5, and number 12, St. Andrews at 4-9. There are only 14 3A schools, and 12 of them make the playoffs. Those are the 12 teams that we were just talking about. But Lakeview, Richard, the defending state champion, they're the favorite right now. Now, obviously, undefeated Terrell Academy feels like if they could continue playing dominant like they are, they should make a deep run. Coach Ken Huffman of Lakeview, he returns Dynasty Putman, who was one of the leaders in last year's team. Talia Gaither also returns from last year's team that won a state championship, and they're playing excellent basketball right now. So they're number 1, Terrell Academy number 2. What are you looking forward to with that 3A classification, Richard?
Well, it was really Lakeview Academy is really the team to beat. And, you see a team like Deerfield Windsor, who was there in the championship, as they lost their legendary coach and they lost a lot of players on that team. But I think that, it's going to be up for grabs. I can't wait to see, them in the Final Four and then the state championship at Columbus State.
Again, number 1, Lakeview. Number 2, Terrell Academy. Number 3, Piedmont Academy. And number 4, Frederica Academy. Those are your top 4 teams in 3A in the girls classification rankings. Again, these just dropped on GIAA sports.org. That's where you can go and find the updated rankings. GIAA sports.org is the website. You'll see girls and boys rankings when you click on basketball, and then you'll see all these rankings that I am presenting to you right now. All right, let's go to the boys' side in 3A. Brookwood, number 1 at 16-1. How about Deerfield Windsor, number 2, trying to win a football and a basketball state championship in the same season? They come in 12-1. St. Andrews, who played in that state championship last year, they come in at 13-3. Lakeview, who won the state championship last year, comes in at 10-6. And Lakeview, just like with the girls, they have a strength of schedule of 8.6. The next closest in the 3A classification is St. Andrews with 3.3. So they are pretty, their strength of schedule is pretty much tougher than anyone else in the 3A classification. Frederica Academy, number 5, they played in the Final Four last year. They're 11-2. Tift Dairy Academy, number 6, 8-2. Number 7, Westminster Schools of Augusta at 8-2. Number 8, Valwood at 9-6. Number 9, Terrell Academy at 7-6. Number 10, Dominion Christian at 9-5. Number 11, Westfield School at 5-8. And then number 12, John Millage at 3-7. Pinewood Christian and Piedmont Academy would both be left out of the playoffs right now. But I know number 1 is Brookwood at 16-1. Number 2, Deerfield Windsor. Number 3, St. Andrews. But until you get knocked off the throne, Lakeview Academy still has to be up there as one of the top teams to repeat. And last year, after winning last year's state championship, and they got a legendary Hall of Fame coach in themselves and head coach Benji Wood, and he really likes his program right now. Tough schedule. They're 11-6, 5-1 in the region, and they're looking like a team that can make a repeat for a state championship.
Yeah, there's no question. The Lakeview Academy boys and girls could end up getting the clean sweep of the championship again, going back to back, and they're going to be the teams to beat.
All right, let's go to 4A girls, Richard, and the number one team in 4A girls. And I know many people are like, it's got to be the defending state champion. They didn't lose anyone. No, it is not. It is a new team to the GIAA, and it's Athens Christian, 15-2. They have the highest rating out of anybody in the GIAA. They would be ranked number one overall. And for next week's show, we'll have overall rankings, who are the top 10 teams, regardless of classification, in the GIAA girls and boys. And we'll have graphics for you for each classification, too, moving forward. But for this show, we were just going to say them out loud and tell you to go to the website. You literally can look at them while I'm reading them off right now off GIAA sports.org. George Walton Academy, who won a state championship 2 years ago, played in it last year. They come in number 2. That's a powerhouse program,
right?
That is a repeat every single season and being one of the final teams. They got an incredible coach, too, and Lori Hines, and she's got the Lady Bulldogs playing great basketball again, and they're right there in the thick of things. Number 3 is Stratford. Number 4 is the defending champion and Bryant Thomas Lady Vikings at 8-2. So number 1, Athens Christian. Number 2, George Walton. Number 3, Stratford. Number 4, St. Anne Pacelli. Number 5 is Strong Rock at 15-1. By the way, Stratford's 13-1. Strong Rock, number 5, 15-1. Number 6, Loganville at 9-8. Number 7, FPD, a team that's been in the Final Four these last couple of years. They come in at 9-6. Number 8, Tatnall Square Academy at 7-5. The Kings Academy out of the Gaps in their first season, ranked number 9 at 7-1. Mount DeSales, number 10 at 8-7. Number 11 is the Calvary Christian Lady Knights at 5-6, and number 12 is Bullock Academy at 2-7. Tallulah Falls, Bethlehem Christian, Brookstone, and Crystal Ray are left out right now, but this is far from over.
Right.
Bullock Academy is 2-7, and they're just ahead of Tallulah Falls, the Bethlehem Christian, and Brookstone, and I can see all those teams getting hot. Brookstone just beat Calvary. They could shoot up in those rankings here when they come out again next Monday. Your thoughts on the 4A classification and how tough this is going to be this upcoming season?
Well, I mean, the biggest mystery is Athens Christian, because this is their first year playing in the GIAA. We know that George Walton Academy has had a history of being there before. I think that Pacelli, being the defending GIAA champions, I know they went to the quarterfinals the year before, but this is a team that they got most of their players coming back. Stratford Academy, I mean, they're always tough in the GIAA. Yep. I think what's very interesting is Pacelli and Strong Rock are in the same region together, and so they're going to end up playing each other twice. One of them's going to win a region title, and the other, they might drop down in the rankings, and then this could factor in of playing games on the road. Of course, when we get to the quarterfinals, all the games are played up in Macon. But yeah, this could the position could change. I was very interested to see, especially down at the bottom with Brookstone just beating Calvary Christian. How far is Brookstone going to jump up in the rankings from 15? And Calvary right now, number 11.
Exactly right. So we can't wait to see how those are going to play out. All these classifications, man, we're talking about an incredible playoff run that we hope and we will discuss throughout the season leading up to the playoffs. And, of course, in the playoffs, we're going to give you up-to-date information right here on Inside the GIAA. All right, let's go to the 4A classification. And the 4A classification, atop the rankings, is the number 1 team in the entire GIAA state. They're ranked top 15 in the entire state, regardless of what league, GHSA or the GIAA. They have the longest current winning streak out of any school in the state of Georgia, again, regardless of the league, at 26 games in a row, 12-game winning streak last year into winning the state, and they started 14-0 this year. They also got a new coach. Coach Corey Black is no longer the coach there. He moved on, and after rebuilding a fantastic program, Calvin Thomas steps in and he's undefeated in his first year. For one, it's hard stepping in for a legend who just rebuilt a program from the ground up and had one of the top programs in the state last year. Not only that, Richard, top 10, top 12 in the entire state, number one in the GIAA. You have to step and fill in his shoes, and you're already undefeated. A new team that came into the GIAA this year, Athens Christian boys. They're 12-4 and ranked number 2. Number 3, Cristo Rey at 10-6. Number 4, another team out of the gaps, a new team in the GIAA, is the Kings Academy. Number 5, Tatnall Square Academy at 10-2. Number 6, Stratford Academy. We know about Stratford Academy, who won a state championship 2 years ago, was ranked number 2 in last year's final rankings. I'll see them. You're going to see them in the top 4, no doubt. They're well coached and have a really good team. Number 7, Bethlehem Christian at 7-7. Number 8, Brookstone at 10-8. Number 9, Strong Rock at 11-5. Number 10, Tallulah Falls. Tallulah Falls at 7-7. Number 11, Mount DeSales Academy at 10-4. And then number 12, Calvary Christian, who just beat Brookstone, by the way. So I could see them moving up in next week's rankings. They come in at number 12. 13, Bullock. 14, George Walton. 15, Fulton Science Academy. 16, Loganville. 17, Riverside. And 18, First Presbyterian. 18 schools. Only 12 make the playoffs. And the 12 teams I said would be in if it were up to today. But right now, it's about knocking Pacelli off the throne. They're ranked number 1 for a reason. The defending champion for a reason. And they're going to be a tough out. But I think some of the teams include Athens Christian, Stratford, Tatnall, and even Cristo Rey, who made the Final Four last year. And it's got a guy that's putting up in Jaden, who's putting up over 25 points a game. It's going to be tough. But right now, the favorite's got to be obviously Pacelli.
Oh, no question. Pacelli, if you look at their rating, they have twice as much rating as the second team in 4A classification with Athens Christian. Pacelli is in a tough region. You look at their region where they got to play Brookstone, Strong Rock, and Calvary. All those teams would make the playoffs. And, of course, Westfield School is 3A. They're also in the region. Pacelli's got a big game. This Friday, they take on their in-city rival, the Brookstone, which is ranked number 8. I think that's going to be a big game. It'll to try to determine where Brookstone is ranked. And I actually think this Pacelli team is definitely a team that's just continuing to improve and get better. You know, they're the defending GIAA champions for a reason. But they got all their players coming back, and they have just been on a roll.
Also, Athens Christian, they beat Lakeview. So great win for them. They got Loganville coming up, Tallulah Falls, George Walton at Lakeview, and then they end it with Bethlehem Christian and Riverside Military. So I could see them winning those games out and finishing number 2. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about the number 1 teams in 1A. We got Fullington Academy coach, and we also have the head coach of Citizen Christian Academy. We have Coach Jared Roberts and Coach Van Bailey here on Inside the GIAA. It's our inaugural show. We'll be right back after this.
This copyrighted broadcast, presented exclusively on GIAA.tv, is copyrighted by the Georgia Independent Athletic Association, a division of the Georgia Independent School Association, for the private use of our audience. It may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the Georgia Independent School Association. GIAA.tv now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.tv Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.tv Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.tv Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.tv Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.tv Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.tv. This copyrighted broadcast, presented exclusively on GIAA.tv, is copyrighted by the Georgia Independent Athletic Association, a division of the Georgia Independent School Association, for the private use of our audience. It may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the Georgia Independent School Association. GIAA.tv now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.tv Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.tv Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.tv Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.tv Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.tv Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more, featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.tv.
Welcome back to Inside the GIAA. Thrift, Barringer, Richard Holdridge here, and we are moving along, and it is time now for a few good minutes. And we're going to have 2 great interviews, and first we're going to bring on the head coach from Fullington Academy. His name is Coach Van Bailey. Coach, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you giving us some time, because I know a coach's life is nonstop, so thank you making some time here on this Wednesday evening to talk about your Lady Trojans.
Thank you guys for having me. Honored to be here, and hope we can have a good interview.
All right, Coach, let's talk about your Lady Trojans. Last year's team came up just short. We were there for that against Robert Toombs. You end up losing by 1. And now you're having to, with that chip on your shoulder, you had that all off season with that heartbreaking, debilitating loss. And it's like your team came out more focused than ever. What was your message to your girls for this season? And not worry about last year and come out and dominate?
Oh, that was it. Just not worry about last year. You gained a lot of experience. We came close. We fought, just came up 1 point short. Definitely a heartbreaker, but something to build on. The biggest thing was we was bringing 4 seniors in this year. Only lost 1 senior last year. That senior leadership, they've been there, done it. You know what it takes. We just got to be a little bit better, and they have been focused all year. And every game they seem to get a little bit more focused. So I'm real proud of their hard work they put in.
Coach, talk about that senior leadership led by your leading scorer, J. Beth Womble, averaging 15 points a game. But your top 4 scorers are all senior led. Just talk about what that means to have this senior leadership going into the season.
As a coach, it's just such a luxury. I mean, they know the system. They've been in it 4 years. They understand what's expected of them. They understand from each other. They're all 4 coaches on the floor. And like you said, led by my point guard, J. Beth, my leading scorer. Future A-back, Lady Stallion, and she gets us set where we want to be. And then the good thing is, if one's off a little bit, there's another one that steps up between Catherine Aiken, my post player, Caroline Stevens, my number 4, and just a true number 4, great athlete, does everything you ask. And then Haley Hatcher has hit some huge threes for us and has played probably the best D of her career this year. I think it's been great for all 4 of them.
Hey, we're talking with Coach Van Bailey, who has built a fantastic program with Fullington Academy out of Pinehurst, Georgia. The Lady Trojans ranked number 1 in the inaugural GIAA rankings that you can find on GIAAsports.org. And this is Inside the GIAA live from the Beck Center. Coach, you're on a 9-game winning streak right now. You're playing your best ball, but you're playing a tough classification. You got St. George ranked number 2, Memorial Day ranked number 3. Those are going to be some tough outs when you have to play them in the playoffs. What's the message right now for the rest of the season to finish strong, stay atop the rankings, and hopefully find yourself back at Columbus State for another state championship?
I'll tell you, the single A girls this year is deeper than I've seen it in a long time. I mean, there's a good 7, 8, maybe even more schools that could come on strong here in the end and can win this thing. Robert Toombs sitting there looming 4th, playing a hard schedule, and we know Robert Toombs, they're well coached and got us by 1 last year. But the message is for us is not worry about the big things, just worry about the little things right now. Work on the little details of the game. Work on the little small things. If you do the small things, the rest of it's going to take care of itself, and just improve in areas that we're lacking. A few things on offense we need to work on, tighten up some defense, and, just work on those small things. If we do those small things, I think we're fine.
Well, Coach, can you give a little bit for everyone that's viewing right now, why was basketball, Coach, a calling for you? And then kind of transition that into why is Fullington Academy the place you want to call home and why it makes it so special? So 2-part question for you, Coach.
Well, I graduated from Fullington Academy in 92. I played for Burt Bozeman in basketball. And the odd thing was I was a decent athlete, but probably my weakest sport was basketball. I think I had to really learned the fundamentals and played hard defense. Couldn't score at all, but I played hard defense. And Coach Bozeman, he got me to guard whoever the best player on the other team was, and just that passion of knowing the fundamentals, knowing basketball, having to struggle myself to make it work. I think it just was an easy transition whenever I started coaching to teach the game, because I had to learn from the basics and learn from the fundamentals. And Mike Kaysen was coaching at Fullington, and I was coaching 5th and 6th grade. And he asked me to, hey, you need to come coach varsity. I personally thought he was crazy. And he told me to take the boys, and took the boys for a while. And then unfortunately, Mike had to step down, and he asked me to take his girls over. And I did boys and girls for a while, but I didn't got too old for that. So I just backed off and just doing the girls now. But, it's just kind of a building thing. And I was told from a young age I should be a coach. I kind of fought it for a while, but I think the good Lord told me where I needed to be, and I finally started listening late in life, but I have enjoyed it.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We know you got a big upcoming game this Friday against Windsor Academy at 6:30, and then you take on Crisp Academy on Tuesday, January the 21st. So make sure for all those that are in the area, go out, support the Lady Trojans. Good luck the rest of the season, Coach, and maybe we'll be seeing you at Columbus State towards the end of the year.
Hope so. Thank you, guys. Enjoyed it.
That is Coach Van Bailey of Fullington Academy, and we'll take him off the screen, and we're going to bring on the next coach, and he is the number 1 ranked team in the 1A classification. His name is Coach Jared Roberts. He has a Citizen Christian Academy Patriots ranked number 1, 9-6 on the year. Coach, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on being ranked number 1 in the inaugural rankings. I know really that doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but it is nice to know that your program's elevated to that level where you're getting respected by your peers.
Appreciate y'all having me. It's nice to be number 1, but like you said, right now it really doesn't mean anything. It's going to be who's there.
Well, Coach, let's talk about your team right now. You got 6 losses, and you played a really tough schedule, like Deerfield Windsor, who's ranked number 2 in 3A. You got Stratford ranked in the top 4 in 4A. Frederica Academy, another really good team that you had to play in, of course, Tift area. But then you beat all the teams in the 1A classification. You're undefeated in that aspect. What is it about this team that you see is so special that you think can make a deep playoff run to the state championship? Coach, can you hear us? I think Coach is frozen for a second, so we may need to take him off the screen. Oh, there he goes. So let's bring him back on. Well, we're having some technical difficulties right now, and this is bound to happen for all those that are watching. I mean, with these interviews and technology, you got to rely on everyone's internet being immaculate. We have this happen so many times, so we'll try to take – oh, there he is. Coach, can you hear us again? I don't think Coach can hear us.
I can hear you now.
Okay, you can hear us. All right, Coach.
Yeah, sorry. I had to switch.
It's okay.
Wi-Fi's here. I had a different office, so I had to switch what I was doing.
It's okay, Coach. We completely understand. Trust me, especially us in the live streaming business. We know about internet. It is a very fickle thing. But I was talking about and asked you the question about your team. What's made this team special? Y'all had it's a really tough schedule, and I feel like that's kind of got y'all now playing really good basketball heading into the playoff run. What makes it so special in your opinion?
Well, the players. We got several. We're pretty deep for a single A team. We got 7, 8 guys that play. Competitors. They're not all of them primary is basketball. Most of them are actually baseball players, but they're competitors, and that really makes it fun having that competitive spirit and really getting after it.
Well, Coach, talk about your coaching staff too. You got a great coaching staff, and you can't do this by yourself. I say this with all the coaches. So, what makes your coaching staff so unique, and y'all having great chemistry together?
Yeah, I've been really lucky this year. I've got Philip Corbeen, who's been with me for the past 3 years, and then Coach Greg Tanner. He was actually the head girls coach last year, and his son's on my team, so he's helping out. And then there's Buddy Watkins. He's just a local guy, Anytime Fitness owner, but a bunch of guys work out there with him, and he's just a great guy. He's about my age, and he's really motivational with them. He keeps them tuned up, make sure everybody is in good spirits, and really helps us out on the emotional end of things.
Coach, you're 9-6 on the season, and that's mainly because of the schedule you play. I'm looking at your schedule right now. You're taking on 3A schools, Deerfield, Windsor, Tift Area Academy. And what does that mean to you to play a tough schedule, to get you prepared for taking on these Class A opponents as when you get into playoff time? Does having the tough schedule just help your team get prepared for the competition?
Well, part of it's just wanting to play good teams, wanting to have good competitive games, not wanting anything to just be something they take for granted. The other part of it is location. When you draw a 2-hour window around us, there ain't a whole lot other than some of the 3A schools. We'll play who will play us. And so
No doubt about it, Coach. And we're talking with Coach Jared Robert, who has done a great job with his Citizen Christian Academy Patriots. They're ranked #1 in the inaugural Max Preps rankings, and we are looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. First Presbytery Christian Academy #2, Robert Toombs #3, and then LaGrange #4. St. George rounds out the top 5. So, Coach, what's your message for your team? What are some things you want to improve on and see from your team these next couple of weeks as you get ready for that playoff stretch?
Well, we always need to improve on rebounding, turnovers, and shot selection. We need to make more shots and have more possessions. But there's we try and get up and down the floor, try and have fun while we're out there, and try and teach them some of the nuanced parts of basketball. Some continue, not a whole lot of continuity offense, but we try and run some of the stuff they see on TV just to make them feel like they are involved.
Coach, talk about the region you play in. I mean, Georgia Christian, we know that their history, they've got a great team, but you do play some teams like Southwest Georgia Academy. You ended up getting the win over there. But this region that you play in, just talk about the 2A Region 3 that you play of. Georgia Christian's playing in 2A. So you do have some teams that you play in, but just talk about the region that you play in and how tough it is.
Well, we played Georgia Christian last night, went into 4 overtimes, so that was a little more excitement than I bargained for. But with this year we got moved over to Robert Toombs and Memorial and First Preparatory, and we actually play First Preparatory Tuesday. Of course, we got Pinewood and Montgomery County in between those, so it's going to be a pretty tough region between Memorial, Robert Toombs, and First Preparatory.
Well, Coach, my final question, and it's the same question I just asked about Coach Van Bailey. For all our viewing audience, we want you to kind of explain your background history. What got you into coaching? Why do you love the sport of basketball? And why is Citizens Christian the place you call home to coach right now?
Why do I love basketball? That's a long answer. But as far as coaching, I have 4 children, but 2 of them are on the teams I coach right now. And so, after seeing some things before they were in school, I decided that, if I could help the programs out. I was actually assisting Dana Hanna that's at Evan Burke when he was at CCA. And then he left, and I said, well, if they need me, I'll help out. Fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you look at it, coaching's not my day job, but I enjoy being there with the kids. They help me feel a little young too. Sometimes I feel a little old, but they keep me in the know, I guess you would say. But anyway,
well, Coach,
I went to CCA, graduated in 2002. I was watching Van's interview, and he was a graduate of Fullerton. similar story there. I happened to marry a girl from Fullington, so it's a small world.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for joining us. Great job so far this season, and hopefully you have a great run during the rest of the stretch, and we may see you at Columbus State University for that state championship game.
Well, I appreciate it. I plan on being there whether we're playing or not.
Thank you, Coach. That is Jared Roberts.
See you, Coach.
Citizens Christian Academy. We'll take a break. When we come back, we got more inside the GIAA.
Thank you.
GIAA.TV now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.TV Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.TV Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.TV Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.TV Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.TV Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.TV. This copyrighted broadcast, presented exclusively on GIAA.TV, is copyrighted by the Georgia Independent Athletic Association, a division of the Georgia Independent School Association, for the private use of our audience. It may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the Georgia Independent School Association.
Welcome back to Inside the GIAA here on GIAA Facebook page, GIAA.TV, and of course the GIAA YouTube channel, live from the Beck Center of Academic and Athletic Success. Over here we got turf field at the Beck Center. We got indoor hitting facility. You can have wrestling here. We got a media center. We got conference rooms. They got film rooms. I mean, everything you can think of. Thank you to Roger Beck and, of course, the Beck Center here in Columbus, Georgia, for allowing us and being our presenting sponsor and allowing us to host all our shows here from the Beck Center, and we appreciate that. And we also appreciate it from the GIAA, him sponsoring all the state championship games too, including the basketball one that's coming up February the 28th and March 1st, live from Columbus State University. All right, without further ado, it is time now for the Commissioner's Corner, and we're going to bring on the Commissioner of the GIAA, who blessed all this, who allowed us hotheads to be the voices of the GIAA. His name is legendary Coach Tommy Marshall. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm excited to be the inaugural show. Hope my voice comes out on this thing. That's all I'm worried about.
Yeah, no, Coach, you sound excellent, and we appreciate you hopping on. And it's kind of like a State of the Union, an update, but this is for all of them. You know, we got new schools that joined this year. We always got a new viewing audience. Coach Marshall, can you kind of explain to everyone what your role is with the GIAA, why you took on this role, and why the GIAA is such a special place that you call home to look over?
It is. I think anytime that you've got student athletes, coaches, and athletics involved, I'm in. And that was part of, after I left Marist, had this opportunity to come down and really try to get more exposure for our athletes, student athletes, our coaches, and to tell the stories of all our great communities all around the state. So that was the exciting part of it. And of course, this inaugural show is just part of the growth that we've seen for the last 3, 4, 5 years.
Well, Coach, we appreciate you and just giving us this opportunity to call the games on GIAA.TV. We've seen you down on the court, on the football field after a champion is crowned, and you're there. You're the first person that actually gives that trophy, and then they flash the banner with their team. How exciting is that to get to do that for every champion at every classification for all the sports in the GIAA?
Well, it's my honor and pleasure to watch the kids and the coaches, everybody involved, the excitement. And, you know, it doesn't matter what level, whether it's girls flag football or 8-man football or 4A football, that means the same to all of them. to each one of them, wherever they're at. It's the end of a journey, of a long season. There's a lot of ups and downs with the growth process, but it's so exciting to see at the end. You see the disappointment of the runner-ups, and you see the excitement of the champions. But that's really teaches us lessons about life and how to deal with different options and different things. So it's really my pleasure and a great honor to be able to do that, sport after sport, season after season.
No doubt about it. And we're going to be seeing you coming up, especially for the basketball state championship held at Columbus State University. Commissioner Marshall, I want to ask, as a former coach, what does it mean to be in a leadership role, to be able to give advice to those young and aspiring coaches to try to do things that you were able to do? You feel like that was your calling after coaching, giving back to the young coaches that are coming through this profession?
Definitely. When I started coaching, I feel like I was called to coach. Just like a preacher's got a pulpit in a church, but mine was green grass and basketball courts and everything else to make a difference in the life of young people. And that's been my story for over 48 years, and I've been blessed way beyond my means. But I just like to see the life lessons. I think athletics is one of the last frontiers that kids have to join and make people more important than themselves, to be a part of a team. Our team, GIAA, with Clint and Kent and Amy and Robert, those are the feet on the ground. They do all the work. And I think we learn that about all our sports, whether it's football, just the opportunity of teamwork, where others are more important than yourself. Those are great life lessons. I want to be part of those lessons. I want to encourage our kids to work through adversity, the good, the bad, and to come out on top. The sportsmanship issues that we deal with today, to respect the sport, respect the opponents, to respect their teammates. I think there's lessons that athletics teaches that nothing else can. It's a classroom by itself.
Well, Coach, Commissioner Marshall, I just want to talk about just those teams that made that transition into the GIAA. We've got some teams from the Gaps. We've had teams in the past that went from GHSA to the GIAA. What are some factors that go into that? What are the steps that the schools have to take to become a member of the GIAA?
Well, of course, GISA certification, they have to go through that process. But ultimately, I tell schools, you have to do what's best for your community at the stage you're in right now. You have to make decisions on what's best for your student athletes, for your community, for the school itself, and the success of the overall program, not just one sport. You can't sell out in one sport. It's got to be a sports program. It's got to be a combined effort of all the schools where everybody buys in. I think, again, that's what the thing, whether you play one or the other, that's your decision with your school, your coaches, your parents, your community. But we like it when they're sold out. And that's, I think, the opportunities that we presented. Here's the opportunity. Here's what we're looking at. It was exciting to see those who came along with us. We promised them that we would improve year after year after year. Exposure, venues, broadcasts like this, and what we've done with all of our sports playoffs. So we think, we're not there yet, but we've made great strides. And I want to encourage us now to all of our parents and coaches and communities to speak life about GIAA. When you're talking to people outside, inside, talk life into what we're doing, what we're trying to do. Because the bottom line is we want to get more exposure for our athletes and our coaches. And we want to tell the great stories that are out there, so many places, all around Georgia, north, south, east, and west.
No doubt about it. And that's why we started this inside the GIAA, to shine a light on all the sports, all the athletes, all the programs, because they deserve that exposure. So thank you so much, Commissioner Marshall, for allowing us to start this endeavor. Thank you to Tony Morgan for spearheading. Thank you to Stan Whitlock of the GISA and everyone. You made mention of Kent, Robert, Clint, Amy, everybody. This is a team effort to continue to get exposure. But Commissioner Marshall, I got to ask you about this new thing coming up here. and the Aspiring Athletic Leadership Institute. Talk about this new project that you started and how excited you are about it.
Well, we've talked about this for a while, but we're trying to develop folks who want to get more involved in athletics, young coaches, young teachers who want to learn. A lot of times they just say, you're the AD. What's the training? What goes into it? So we're trying to, the Aspiring Leadership, Athletic Leadership Institute starts this summer and they can sign up. What we're trying to do is prepare them when the opportunity comes about. They're ready to go. They're excited. They're prepared and ready to go. And I think the other thing we're starting next year is our sportsmanship award for the schools that go above and beyond. We want to reward communities for doing things first class and doing things right. And I can't wait to get that started next year as well.
I mean, I'm excited about it. And these are things that we have been needing, and we're making those strides. Final message to everyone out there, because you're going to be coming on periodically. This is called Commissioner's Corner. So we're going to be talking with you periodically throughout the rest of this year and heading into next year. But do you have any news or notes that you would like to tell everyone in the GIAA that is watching right now on this show?
Well, amen. Thanks to everybody. Make sure you thank your coaches and your administrators at your school. This is going to be exciting. It's an all sports program. It's not one sport or the other.
Nope.
We've got all the winter sports coming up in the telecast and the broadcast. For all of that, both wrestlings, swimming at Georgia Tech, bass fishing's coming soon, archery, esports, and that doesn't include our spring sports. We got the Baseball Dugout Club magazine and all the exposure for our kids. So there's some great things happening. And I need to thank you guys as we really work this through this, that we want to really recognize all of our sports, all of our coaches, all of our athletes all around the state of Georgia. And you guys have given us a platform. So thank you.
No, thank you again for joining us tonight, and we look forward to talking to you here real soon, Commissioner Marshall. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you next time on Inside the GIAA.
Amen. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
And that is legendary coach Tommy Marshall, the commissioner of the GIAA. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this inaugural show. We'll talk on some of those other sports he made mention. It's not just basketball, wrestling, esports, archery, swimming, wrestling, all here on Inside the GIAA.
GIAA.TV now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.TV Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.TV Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.TV Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.TV Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.TV Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.TV.
Welcome back, everyone, here to Inside the GIAA, and we're almost done. Man, how about this show? This is going fast, and we got to talk about some of those other sports, and I want to talk first about swimming. There are no classifications in swim, but it's becoming more and more popular every year, and this will be something that is considered in the not-too-distant future about adding those regions. Right now, it's a one big classification, and the good thing about swimming is there is rarely a dynasty team. Teams are great this year and can lose one great swimmer, be middle of the pack next year, or the other way around. And last year's boys team championship was won by Rivers Academy and were led by senior swimmer Cooper McDonald. So they're trying to repeat this year. For the girls, last year, Madison Dampier was a state champion as a junior, and Tallulah Falls were the state champions for the girls. So we hope we get to see all this. Right now, Anthony Pham of George Walton is a name to recognize when those swim championships come up, Richard. So we can't wait to keep you up to date on what is happening in swimming. And they're going to have the swim meet February the 1st. That is the state swimming meet. Again, February the 1st. You're going to be able to get it on GIAA.TV. You can go to GIAAsports.org and see content with the swim time standards and all the update information on what's happening in swimming. And there's a meet tomorrow at Georgia Tech by the Howard School that has 400 swimmers represented from 25 schools. So we are giving a round of applause and good luck to all those participants in tomorrow's swim meet. And some of the other sports, including archery. And Richard, you even broadcasted an archery match with over 300 contestants back at Calvary Christian of the GIAA a few months ago, and they got their state championships coming up soon.
Yes, the archery championships have been moved to January 21st. It was originally scheduled for January 11th. It's going to be at Georgia Southern Shooting Sports Center in Statesboro. Archery is a little different. There's only 9 teams in the GIAA that participate in archery, but it's very unique because you have kids in grade school that are archers, and being a witness to an archery tournament where it had 7 schools, some of them were middle schools.
Right.
Calvary Christian was part of it, and you also had a gap school. And so the archers, they go up on the top of the hour. They shoot 2 different types of targets. They have the 3D targets, which are like the simulated animals outside. They had it on the football field, and they have the bullseye targets. The bullseye targets, they have a point system, and looking at the past scores, the defending archery champion is Terrell Academy.
Okay.
And the top female archer for 3D was Addison Ingram. The top 3D male archer was from Augusta Prep, Parker Holloman. And then you also had the top male bullseye was Parker Holloman. So he was so good. He was able to do 3D and bullseye and got the top score. Olivia Davis from Terrell Academy got the top score for female bullseye. And so rounding out the top 4 teams that won in the archery championship last year, Terrell Academy had first place with a score of 3,296. Bullock Academy finished in second place with a score of 3,110. Deerfield Windsor finished in third, and then Cottage School finished in fourth.
Thank you, Richard, and we look forward to that January the 21st.
Cannot wait.
That championship archery on GIAA.tv. All right, let's talk about wrestling. And wrestling has 4 regions that everybody competes for a state championship. And then that is for boys. For girls, there's only 1 region, and there are only 7 girls wrestling participants. Last year and the year before, the defending state champion are the Pacelli Vikings, who are trying to go for a 3-peat.
Yes.
Their meet is coming up February 7th and 8th. That is their state traditional meet. So we can't wait to see that. You got the GIAA wrestling duels, 24th and 25th, and the varsity wrestling meet the 7th and 8th. So the duels are January 24th and 25th, and the state varsity wrestling meet is February 7th and 8th. We'll have more update information on who's doing what in wrestling. I know a lot of schools, they're kind of wrapping up and getting ready for state here that's coming up here in a few weeks. So we won't probably have too many more meets before that dual state championship and then the varsity wrestling team championship February 7th and 8th. And we also have esports.
And esports championship is going to be Thursday, February the 6th. Now, this is tentative according to the GIAA website. Now, when it comes to esports, Pacelli is the defending champion. They actually don't have a classification. I'm looking at they've got 7, 8. They have got 15 schools that participate in esports, and some of the games they play. I mean, they'll play sports games. They'll play first-person shooter games. Yep. I tell you what, as somebody that grew up playing video games, I played Madden all my life. Why didn't they have this when I was in high school? I love esports, and it really gives those kids that love video games a chance to shine in the spotlight. I think that's really cool. And so their championship, February the 6th, but it is tentative. And so if you want to know more about esports, they do have the Rocket League rulebook and the Super Smash Brothers rulebook. So they do have some certain games. They do play Super Smash Brothers as the game.
Legendary
for
classic
esports.
Game.
Oh, yeah.
And you can get all this information we're giving you also on GIAAsports.org. Don't forget, we got the basketball playoffs. They start. You got the region championships, and then you have the basketball championships coming up in February. So the quarterfinals are going to be February 18th and 19th is round 1. Quarterfinals is 21st, 22nd. Semis are February 26th and 27th, and the basketball finals February 28th and March 1st. The quarterfinals are held at 3 schools that are located in Macon, sometimes
Right.
Stratford, Tatnall Square, First Presbyterian Day. And we don't know what schools they are. Those are just some of the ones that we saw in previous years. Then in the semifinals, you got 2 locations. You got Bruton Parker, and then you got Columbus State, and then you got 1 location for the state finals at Columbus State. You can find, again, all this information, all the rankings we talked about at the beginning of the show on the GIAAsports.org website, and we dropped the inaugural rankings. They came out today on the website. So great job to put those on the website, and then we get to talk about it on Inside the GIAA. And don't forget, we are presented by the Beck Center of Academic and Athletic Success. We're live from the Beck Center, and we're going to do all our shows live from the Beck Center here in Columbus, Georgia. For all student athletes, it is a fantastic place. Thank you to Roger Beck for being the sponsor for this Inside the GIAA show. Man, what a night. Went longer than an hour. We knew that was probably going to happen for this first show. Any other final thoughts, Richard, before we get out of here?
What a great inaugural show for Inside the GIAA. And we get to do it in person at the Beck Center. I know that our GIAA high school football scoreboard show was virtual. I know you were in the comfort of your home. I was in the comfort of your home. But this is great just to get out and to be.
You better have been in the comfort of my home, because I didn't know you were in there, man. No, I'm just joking.
But we would be calling high school football games. But we're here at the Beck Center. I mean, this is just a great facility. I mean, we've used this for other events, and they use this place just for when it's raining outside. The baseball team, when it's cold, will get in here. They'll have some hitting practice. The football team, soccer team, they use this facility, and it's just been a great venue for all sports here.
Exactly right. So thank y'all so much. Thank you to Jared Roberts, head coach of Citizen Christian of the boys. Thank you to Van Bailey, the head coach of Fullington Academy Lady Trojans, for joining us. Thank you to Commissioner Tommy Marshall for also being a part of our inaugural show. And thank y'all for supporting us here at GIAA. Follow them on Instagram. Like the Facebook page. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. GIAA.tv is where you can find all the streams. And we look forward to doing this every Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. The GIAA Facebook page, YouTube channel, and GIAA.tv. From Richard Holdridge, I'm Thrift Barringer saying thank y'all so much. We'll see you next time on Inside the GIAA.